Do you know the Bible says in Ecclesiastes 2:26, "For God giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy." Now watch this, to a man that is good in his sight. But to the sinner, that word sinner means the man that's missing the mark and forfeiting the prize. To the sinner he giveth travail together and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before God. Hi, my name is Charles Vance, and I'm along with Terry Sacka, and we're here today on the wealth transfer.
Welcome.
That's an interesting area of Scripture, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, I like the part where it comes down to a good and faithful stewards, servants.
Managers, yeah,
managers,
absolutely.
And basically it's good and faithful of what he's given us. So are we good with what he's given us? Now, that's not just things and money. It's also wisdom and knowledge and understanding of the Word. So he gave us the Word. Are we good stewards of the Word? He gave us our what we have. Are we good stewards and managers of that? And if we are, the doors are wide open for us.
There's a story that Jesus tells in Matthew chapter 25 that's very interesting. We call it the parable of the talents.
Yeah.
And he had given one man, the talent was actually a measure of either silver or gold in that day. And he gave to one man 1 talent, one man 2 talents, one man 5 talents. The man that had 5 doubled his, the man that had 2 doubled his, and the man that had 1 took it and tucked it in the ground and said he didn't want to do anything with it. He said he was afraid that someone would demand, his master would demand of him something to reproduce that, in other words.
Like having your money in the bank accounts and they demanded a percentage of it?
Yeah, something like that. He called him wicked and slothful and condemned him into everlasting darkness, the Bible said, where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. The guys that doubled the talent, he called them good and faithful. You know what he did with the man's talent that didn't do anything with it? He took it away from him, and the Bible said he gave it to the man that reproduced the most. That's totally against the system right now. Mm-hmm. The spread the wealth around thing is if you have some, I want your stuff because I'm not doing anything to make any. And the Bible is just the opposite of that.
Just the opposite.
God said if you're a good steward and a manager and you multiply and increase what you have, then I'm going to take from the wicked, those who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I'm going to take it from them and it's actually going to transfer to you. Terry, I've heard people talk about end-time wealth transfer.
Yeah.
This has been going on for thousands of years.
And exactly. And you talk about how the wealth transfer is take from the wicked and transfer it over to the righteous. Those that have righteous, meaning equity with God, as you have equity in a mortgage, in a real estate. So that's interesting because remember Proverbs 11:1 and all throughout the Bible, do not partake in dishonest weights and measures. It's an abomination. Honest scales are a delight. Well, the dollar paper is dishonest weight and measure. It's man ran by the systems of the world, which we know Satan's the god of, and it's completely manipulated. So it's dishonest. So it's an abomination to God. So why are we putting our faith and our money into the banking system of the world, into the Wall Street of the world, and then we say we're good stewards of our money? Why are we not in honest scales? 1 ounce, that's why I particularly like silver, I think, in metals, hard assets, because 1 ounce is 1 ounce. You can't make 1 ounce. It is what it is. It's an honest scale because 1 ounce is 1 ounce. Yes, the prices are fluctuating and they're down. Don't be fooled because they're going to be a lot higher one day. It has to. It's just the law of debasement of currency to the hard asset value.
Terry, we've talked in programs past how that smart investment, wise investment, is always to invest in something that God made.
Yeah, we were talking about because he gave us dominion over the earth.
Yeah.
And so why are we not in things of the earth?
And the earth is tangible.
Tangible.
It's something you can get your hands on.
Stand on, get your hands on.
My wife and I are in real estate.
Heavily,
we're in silver
yes.
As well. And, we had talked about food. We'd talked about commodities. We talked about, gas and oil.
Yes.
All of those things are things that God created. They're in the earth. They're tangible.
Yes.
That you can actually trade for something that somebody can't say, well, your gallon of gasoline's only a half gallon.
Yeah, matter of fact, if we had gasoline, just think if our swimming pools were filled with gasoline, when it was 50
That'd be
cents.
dangerous.
You're right. But when it was 50 cents a gallon, and now it's $4 a gallon, $3.50 a gallon. Exactly that. And I still think oil and gas are going to be an extraordinary wealth transfer in the future, by the way.
No doubt about it.
America is loaded with natural resources in energy. Unfortunately, we have leadership all throughout the country now that despises the fossil fuel, which is our wealth, and is trying to create all this other alternative, which, by the way, the alternative they're creating takes a massive amount of silver to do, especially in photoclavic cells, which are more like the solar type of systems, for light. But this is really a big deal, and we have to understand putting our faith into the system of the money. Fiat money, the paper money now, this stuff.
Now, what do you mean by fiat? What's that mean?
This isn't resonating. I almost feel it deep inside that we somehow are not getting this across. This is a piece of cotton. That's all it is. It's a nicely woven piece of cotton, and it has really pretty writings and pictures on it. That's all it is. Now, the reason we're fooled is if you ever study the history of money, which I've done, money throughout history has always had tremendous value. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about that next week, about Roman Empire and its money source in comparison to the United States. But money back in the Roman Empire was purely silver and gold. And money throughout history was hard assets, something you could put your hands on that if I have a pile of, it's worth something, because this I can just print. I can make it up. I can say, here's another million and make it worth nothing. So why are we putting our faith in this? Now, fiat meaning fake, meaning an IOU, meaning it's just printed money. We're fooled, folks, because back in the day in Greek, the dollar, actual definition, thayer, grains of silver, grains of gold. Hence the silver certificate we used to have. When you could take this in, hand me that, you could take this in to the bank and exchange it for this. They were equal. I take this into the bank, they were equal in the 60s. Folks, do you know, I sell an ounce of silver, this is more than an ounce, by the way, it's a half pound, but let's say I sell an ounce of silver today. I can buy, back then they both bought 5 gallons of gas. Do you know today if I sell my silver, I can not only buy the same 5 gallons of gas as I did 40 years ago, I can buy 10. 10 gallons of gas. I'd say if I put my faith into what God gave us, I'm probably doing better off, right? Because I can buy twice as much gas. Fiat money. How much gas can you buy with this $1 now? You used to buy 5. How much today? Not even a quart. Systems of the world.
Now, the reason for that
Big difference, isn't it?
is
What do you want in your wallet, by the way? You know what I mean?
Yeah. What they keep doing with this is printing more of it.
Yes.
Now,
and that is the reason why you see
There used to be the banking systems, even of the world, used to operate on what's called fractional reserve banking.
They still do.
Well, their fractions are a lot smaller now.
Right. That's for sure. Getting in the decimal system now.
Yeah, definitely. You got to know your decimals to make it work.
Right.
They used to have to, when they first started this, was it 60 cents per dollar or 40 cents per dollar? The Federal Reserve, when it started, that they have to have on reserve.
And technically, well, okay, yeah, probably around 60 cents easy. But if you really look back in the day, we started, and we're going to do the comparison next week, we'll show charts of, we started actually when, like in the Roman money, we started where par was. $1 was $1, 100.
Right.
A dollar equal 100.
But I'm talking about when the Federal Reserve started printing money, because there's been all kinds of monetary systems in the U.S. since the U.S. began.
Yes, that's true. Right.
In the Federal Reserve, 1913.
Oh, and conveniently we went to World War I, but that's a side note.
That's another program, isn't it?
That was just by accident, coincidental.
This now is less than a penny the Federal Reserve has to have on reserve in tangible assets per dollar that they print.
Right.
So there's no value. I mean, if you tried to exchange this for something, if you exchanged it for what the reserve was at the bank, the Federal Reserve Bank, it's actually nothing.
Quote Chairman Bernanke by the senator when he was asked, how much is the credit card bill, per se, of the United States? 33 trillion. 33 trillion.
Now, there's only about...
We don't have that in assets.
There's only, actually, even in print, there's only about 1.3 or 1.4 trillion.
That's an M2 supply. That could be, those are a little bit skewed, those numbers, because there's something also called M2. There's a lot more than that.
Okay.
We've actually, because China themselves
But there's not 33 trillion.
No, but China themselves has over one trillion plus in cash.
Just in American cash.
American dollar bills.
Okay.
Every central bank in the world, by the way, has American dollar bills. And it's designed, that's what the reserve currency is. That's what this program's about, the reserve currency, because they all have dollar bills in their bank because they use those dollar bills to buy crude oil and to do international trading. Now, China has about $1 trillion bills in their bank right now. I contend China doesn't have all of that like we think. Now, this is just purely my opinion. I have no evidence of it. My guess is that they are taking the $1 trillion bills that they have and they are buying hard. Oh, I know this for sure because I've seen them in Africa and stuff when I was there. They are buying hard assets. They are buying mines, gold mines, silver mines,
with
iron ore mines.
American money?
Well, I can't prove that. They're buying them.
Okay.
I'm guessing they're using the money they say is in the bank. They're using American money to buy the stuff and that they say they have in the bank. I don't believe. Now, come on, they're communists. You can't believe a communist. They'll look at you and say, you know, blue when it's really red. You know what I mean? So you can't trust that. So this is really serious because what does this mean? This is about reserve currency, folks. And this week we're talking about reserve currency. And if they have that much currency in their bank, I don't believe they do. I think they're spending it. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I'm not going to believe it because they're chronic liars anyway. You know.
Now, I don't want people to misunderstand because I mentioned fractional reserve banking.
Okay, good point.
And you said reserve currency, so I want people to understand the difference in that.
Okay, yeah, fractional banking reserve is merely just the banking system's design. Basically, what they did is they would bring in $1 to the bank. And then fractional banking means I can lend $20 out to the
So if somebody
community.
If somebody deposits $1,
I got $1 in my bank.
they can loan out $20.
Then the bank loans out $20, but they don't have 20. They have one.
So they're doing it on paper.
It's all on paper. It's fake. It's paper. It's ledger. And what we're doing now is moving these paper ledgers around.
Now that's
like
why
a shell game, really.
When there's a run on a bank, as there was in the Great Depression, and then the Federal Savings and Loan in the 80s, people got scared in Cyprus. People got scared, said, I want my money out of the bank. It wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
Yeah, and it wasn't even in the central bank in the country.
It never will be there. If we have an issue where there's a run on the banks, I mean, just flat out, your money's not there. If you have a lot of paper money in the bank and everybody wants it at the same time, you're not getting your money. And I don't mean to say that in light and laugh. I'm just telling you, you better have knowledge because you're not getting your money.
I want to do that.
What's that?
I want somebody to give me $1 and me to loan 20.
Oh, well, we would love to.
Well, why can't we do that?
They're saying that this is why we were able to have credit. This is why, you're able to get a car loan and all this. I get it, but I don't buy it because when we have regional banks, small mom and pop banks in our little town, we were fine. We got a big dose of stick it to you America when the commercial banks took over and they decided they didn't want to wait 30 years for their money. They packaged them up in these Wall Street derivatives and sold them out to the people or the world. And it collapsed our system. Because the commercial banks now, and the government has made it so commercial banks and insurance companies can be in everything.
So you're selling.
So now that's why we're in trouble.
They sold the loans to somebody else.
They packaged
because
the
it was
loans.
just paper.
They put all the loans in a box and called it A, and sold A out in the market on a share. It doesn't make any sense.
Now that's one of the things that happened to the housing.
That's why housing happened. Yeah. Because commercial banks got into housing loans. Then they said, I'm not waiting 30 years for my mortgage to be repaid.
So they sold it to somebody.
They put it in a box, gave it to Wall Street. Wall Street said, this is called derivative housing A. You want to buy it? It's American real estate. It's worth gold. So as that collapsed, gold went through the roof.
So it became actually a part of the stock market, which is as fake, if not more so, than the banking system.
That's exactly right. And so, we want to do this. Now, as we talked last week about Cyprus, it's really important to note, matter of fact, if you have assets to protect and preserve and you want information, get educated, okay? We'll send you this free package of information. Just register on the website, give us a call, an 800 number. We'll send it out to you because it's very important to make educated decisions on being diversified.
Let me mention real quick. You own Cornerstone Asset Metals. You guys are a precious metal company.
Yeah.
But you've got quite an education in the money industry.
I know. I'm an accredited asset management specialist. I worked in with A.G. Edwards, and I've had Series 3 and 7, 63, 5. I've been there. I've been a part of that. I know. This is why I know.
So you know how the system runs.
I understand.
We're just not
it.
sitting here running something
No,
off
I
of your
get
head.
it. And this is why I'm so disappointed, because we work, we the people, work 30, 40 years, save for retirement, and then in 08, things collapse, and your retirement evaporates, and, for those that didn't do it right, you lost a tremendous amount. All I'm saying is, why is 95, 98% of all of your assets tied up in banking and Wall Street and mutual funds and systems of the world? Why? Why is your faith there instead of in what God gave you? Now remember what happened in Cyprus. They went in and demanded a sovereign nation give up money out of their banking accounts to feed the debt for the good of the people. Sounds like a communist statement. Good of the people.
It sounded like it was for the bad of the people.
Come on,
to
it was
me.
definitely for the bad of the people.
Yeah, they were taking their money.
They took the money of innocent people, hardworking, average people. And I'm telling you, remember when they said we're not taxing anyone below $250,000?
They changed that, didn't they?
Oh, no. Well, yeah, by the way, they actually did change that. You did get tax increases. But that's not the point I'm making. I'm making this fact. Folks, please get this. You can make $10,000 a year to $10 million a year. It doesn't matter. Every one of you is getting taxed, and here's how. Listen to this written in a report that dealt with Cyprus. Monetary inflation. Inflation, meaning cost of goods and services going higher. We all know what that means. Gas used to be 50 cents. Now gas is $3.54. That's inflation. Such as had been used in the U.S. and U.K. That's what we use our monetary system. We like to regulate inflation. Is more often used because so few people see their loss as blatantly as when the government simply confiscates 10% of their wealth out of the deposits in the bank, like they did in Cyprus. It is a much easier done in smaller increments over a period of time because, that's just part of life. It's just a little bit increase. You're getting fooled is what you're getting. Now, these days, monetary policy and inflation is merely the continuation of the banking system fraud and looting of your hard-earned wealth. Be cautious and get protected and preserved, and for the portion into hard assets, because as the dollar loses its reserve status and loses its value, the hard assets will go up. You must have a balance.
What's reserve status? Tell me what that is.
Yeah, the reserve status, this is really important because reserve currency basically means the world uses one currency globally as the number one currency to use for trading.
Now, is that the reason that you hear talk on occasion, not very often, but every once in a while you hear somebody talk about a currency that's a worldwide currency?
Yes. Yeah, because, it's usually the country that's in power, the country that has the most power at the time.
Okay.
And it's usually whoever's military is in power.
Like if you look back in history,
Well, matter of fact,
what you would consider world powers, like
let's do that.
Babylon in Bible days.
Babylon in Bible days.
Okay.
Now, let's do this. Let's go to image 6. And this is a great example. Let's just transition that right in, Charles. Image 6, reserve currency status does not last forever. Folks, look at it. From the 1400s to the 21st century, 22nd century. Spain, the Netherlands, France, Britain. Britain had it for 150 years. The U.S. took over. If you can see, the U.S. time is up. It's getting close. No one hung on to the reserve currency status forever. These were all world powers at one time. Right down to Rome was a world power at one time. United States was a world power, but the problem with the United States, we blew it so much faster than any other nation. We are now the world's largest debtor nation in history. We have more debt than any nation ever amounted in history. More debt than the Romans ever built up, and the Romans completely collapsed because they debased their currency.
Now, there's got to be a reason that these people have lost world power with reserve currency, to being the reserve currency of the world. why are these people, I mean, they go
You
150
said it,
years,
you
why are
said
they
it, which
losing?
I think is probably pretty close to pretty accurate. What would you say was arrogance, probably, or
Well,
hubris?
If you get arrogant about something, you generally quit paying attention
Yeah.
to what you're doing.
We have done it in I guess it could be arrogance and hubris. Wars has definitely not helped. Every time we went to war, it cost trillions of dollars. I mean, last war cost $1 trillion, and for what? And not only that, our welfare system, of course.
And then we print more money.
Yes.
And I still don't think people understand this, and I just want them to understand. People think inflation means that the value of $1 is going down.
Right.
But actually, and they think that they actually think the cost of stuff is going up.
Right.
But something that is material or tangible stays the same. It still has the same value. A can of beans still has the same value to me and to you. It's still a can of beans. But what happens is when you keep printing these, they become less and less valuable. This retains the same value. You had mentioned either this program or last week how the gasoline thing, how that silver now with $1, what used to be $1 silver dollar, you can buy like how many gallons of gasoline?
Almost 10 gallons now.
Yeah. But the dollar you can't.
No, right.
Because
That's the whole point.
They've printed so many of them
Right.
that now, instead of having 1, 2, and then 4, and then thousands, and it keeps going down. This retains its value. Tangible things retain its value.
Do you know how much we're printing of this right now? 85 billion every month, out of thin air. We're just printing it. I don't think people really understand that. That's what we're doing.
Understand. That's crazy.
Now, as we're doing that, we're reserve currency, folks. If you saw on that chart, we've been there for a while, especially after World War II. We dominated after that. We became reserve currency. We blew it so fast because we spent money so quickly that we are now the world's largest debtor nation. The baby boomers experienced going on and coming off of the greatest ride of American history in that sense. And the baby boomer generation, we have $60 trillion in obligations to protect them. So the amount of money we're going to be printing,
like in what?
Social Security, Medicare, welfare stuff, Medicaid, things like that. They paid for it, but the money was not there because we have spent it. So I'm really saying that going forward in the future, we are going to have tremendous inflation. Don't be fooled by what they're telling you. We will see that you got to know the velocity of money to understand this. I contend we're going to lose reserve currency status. I don't know when, but I know we're going to. I'm merely saying if you save 30 years for your life and you're in the system of the world in paper money, you better get protected and preserved. If you need information on doing that, or at least information on some of the stuff we're talking about, we'll send a free package to you. Just register on the website. Give us a call. We'll send it out to you. It's better to be educated so you can make this decision.
Now those packets are for people that have money that they want
have
to
assets
invest,
to protect.
Some kind of asset.
Yeah, because it's really designed to give you that information to help you.
Sure.
It's not that you go to Cornerstone to buy silver or gold. Really, go anywhere. It's not even about this exact silver or gold. I happen to think silver is good because of numerous reasons we'll get into.
Let me ask you this. A lot of people put money in like IRAs and retirement accounts, and that money is where? Is it in the banking system?
That concerns me because IRAs, retirement accounts, are typically in the stock market, in bonds, in mutual funds, and stocks.
So it looks pretty right now.
Technically, some people say, I'm doing better now because the market's up. Don't be fooled because what the value of that is not what it'll buy you because cost of goods are going to go. Right now, we're in almost deflation, meaning cost of goods are down. Wait until the velocity of money hits.
Now, I just heard somebody, I think this past week on one of the news networks, said that, maybe I heard a couple of people, said that there has to be, what do they call it when the stock market comes back down? A correction. Yeah. They said there has to be a stock market correction soon.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Because it's just going crazy right now.
The thing is, it's not only going to happen, but then everything you gained, you'll lose again. But bigger than that, if we get a currency status change, you're done. That stock market collapses in half, folks. And how do I know the currency change is coming, status-wise? Because China right now is already forged agreements with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa to do business in their currencies only, not using the dollar. And we're going down the same path as we did in Rome. And if you don't believe me, take a look at these data sheets that I'm going to show you because this is evidence of what we're speaking of. Image number 7 is Roman time versus the debasement. Look at that comparing Romans versus American currency debasements. The green is the dollar, yellow is Roman time from denarius up to 160 AD. Isn't that about spooky how similar that is in debasement? Now, it started at 100, which was par. It was when money was 100% of its value. Look how sharp, though, the dollar is dropping. You can take that off now. But that is us compared to Roman times. Remember, Romans collapsed. So we're in the same, it's so eerie to see that. Now, notice that we are worse off than the Romans were in that path. We dropped off a lot quicker, and I contend a lot more now than even when that chart was made. Now go to image 8. This is long term on the debasement. That's the Roman Empire all the way through to even 240 AD, and look at where we're at in the dollar. We're eerily going right down the same slope, but I contend right now we're at about 80 on the dollar index value. I contend we're going to be at 40 before this ends. Now, folks, that's half. That means gas will be $6, $7, and everything else that you have will be double in price.
Nope.
Don't be fooled by what they're telling you.
I know we're running short on time, but I want to ask, how did the Romans devalue?
Thank you.
They had coins.
Yeah, what they did is the Romans devalued it because they brought in like their ounce of gold, and then they melted it down and added copper.
Oh, wow.
Then they brought in that one, melted it down, added copper.
And
before
put
you
it
know
back
it,
in the system.
and put it back in the system. But when they put it back in the system, they got a full dollar. I'm merely saying ours is gone.
It's about like this.
Right. We used to be silver,
Wow.
and now we're tin.
Yeah.
It's a token, like an amusement park.
Yeah.
Okay? Now look at image number 9. This is the decline of Roman money. Now remember, Roman money was gold and silver. Look at the yellow line. Look at the fiat money. Absolute collapse. And that is up to date to 2013. Now tell me that is not scary, folks. The fiat money system is on the verge of disintegration. It doesn't work because it's not backed up by something like it used to be.
So the tangible value of the fiat money is absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing, and that's my whole point here that we need to understand, because there's much more risk involved here. If we're not protected, when this hammer falls, you're going to get wiped out. Now, I contend the reserve currency status is coming to be changed, because I know China and these countries are doing business with each other, and it's just a matter of time when the United States loses status. As soon as we lose status, and it's going to happen just like Cyprus, overnight, Sunday, boom, it's over. I'm saying you work 30 years, you better be protected. So folks, if you want to get information on that, how to protect your assets, you can register for it on the website. Give us a call on the 800 number. We'll send it out free. It's really just about being educated. Please get educated.
Can you roll over IRAs?
You can roll over IRAs, and it's seamless, no tax event, into a precious metals physical IRA. That's where the bulk of people's money are. That's why we talk about it.
We are going to be back next week. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss the program. It's going to be powerful. Tell someone about the wealth transfer. My name is Charles Vance. I've been with Terry Sacka today. It's a great day. Hope to see you next week right here on the Wealth Transfer.